Have you ever wondered what will we possess in heaven? What kind of things will we find in heaven? Will there be fast cars, big beautiful houses with perfectly outfitted kitchens, bedrooms? How about the excellent game rooms? Will I be able to take my own kayak out for a paddle on the perfect scenic river? Of course we think about these things, because heaven is supposed to be where we will be perfectly happy. And so if these things aren't there, then how will God expect me to be perfectly happy? Well, once again, Peter Kreeft comes to the rescue and gives us great food for thought in his book, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Heaven. This is actually a much more important question than you'd think. If we don't get the answer to this question right, we can easily waste our whole lives away. If we get it right, we grow in that kind of holiness without which we cannot see God. That's Hebrews 12. So let's dig a little deeper into this mystery. It seems to me that the two most popular views of heaven are either one, in heaven we will have everything we could possibly want, since here on earth, so much of our misery is not getting what we want, right? Right. Then the second view is people in heaven will only be wearing white robes, and they all look alike, and we'll be standing on clouds. Kind of boring, right? Right. Why do we somehow presume we will possess nothing in heaven or everything? Probably because we think that private property is the cause of all human conflicts, especially wars and the like. Isn't this the reason the early Christians, who were such models, lived in community and they sold what they had and gave it to the poor? Isn't this why St. Francis of Assisi is so popular?
Father, I want to share my joy with you. Our treasures are in heaven, Father, not here on earth. Don't be a slave to these. Throw it all away. Do as I do. It's so simple. Be free.
And this is kind of the vision John Lennon gives us when he sings,
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger.
imagine there's no country, nothing to live and die for. It's easy to think this way. This is why many Christians think that communism is very Christian, since communism prohibits private property. They think, get rid of private property and you get rid of war. But hasn't history taught us that this doesn't work? The great insight that Peter Kreeft gives us is in a much better understanding of the very concept, possessions. C.S. Lewis teaches us that there is something right about getting rid of possessions. He says, in heaven, there is no ownership. If anyone there took upon himself to call anything his own, he would be straightway thrust out into hell and become an evil spirit. So we see there is something heavenly about sharing, not possessing anything as your own. Except for the fact that there is something very heavenly about saying to your spouse, I love you, you are mine. This makes us ask, does the sharing of things in heaven include the sharing of spouses? That sort of sounds kinky to us earthlings. How could that be what God wants? So we really are contemplating a mystery, right? Right. Peter Kreeft helps us out again when he says, think about things like goodness, truth, beauty, life, love, and yes, God. Can we really say that we possess things like when we say, I possess a big, beautiful house? Or even when I say, I have a wonderful spouse? The key to understanding the joys of heaven is seeing the very selfish side of possessing, and in seeing the very godly side of being. All good things. Godspell had a great song that taught this lesson. All good things around us are sent from heaven above. We must learn the heavenly lesson that we must see the difference between saying, I possess truth, or I possess goodness or beauty, and saying, I own truth, or I own goodness, I own beauty. If we think we own truth, we become pharisaical, self-righteous. If we think we own beauty, we become vain. Even joy can be misunderstood. If we say, I have joy, in the sense that it is my possession, like I've made my life what it is, and I enjoy it immensely. If we hold on to the idea that my joy is my possession, we soon become miserable, because whatever I have, I can lose. So we become miserable if we don't see joy as something we find, or as something that lives in me. But it isn't my possession at all. So Kreeft concludes, we must learn detachment to enter heaven. Essential to finding joy in God, in heaven, is being detached from all our worldly possessions. In life, we train ourselves to get over the thought that heaven will simply be the next and the best thing we will possess. In the end, heaven cannot be possessed because God cannot be possessed. We must learn to love him. Thanks for listening. I'm Father Tom Koys. Don't forget to subscribe to Unlike Other Nations. God love you.